Welcome to the No Camps podcast. This is Sunny.
This is Akash,
This is Jason.
who's
Alrighty,
munching on
on
a
the
PB&J
agenda.
over there, I think, still. So,
Come again? Oh,
yeah.
you're not done with your PB and Jizzle yet, Jason?
No, I'm pretty much done. We can move on.
Okay, moving on. John Wick, The Accountant, and District 9.
hmm
Topics of discussion for today, right?
Yeah. So let's start with John Wick then.
Let's jump right into it. Let's go.
Cool.
Let's
All
go.
right.
I'm up. I'm up. You like that, huh?
Nice ride.
Thanks.
How much?
Excuse me.
How much for the car?
She's not for sale.
Ik geef good day, sir.
Daisy.
Well, just finished it like within minutes of starting this. So, I would say the thing I love most about John Wick is that it represents the kind of movie that I feel like we're seeing a lot of today in Hollywood, which is like low emotional investment, not a lot of like buy-in required, not a lot of like work on the audience required to enjoy it, but at the same time still exceeds expectations. So like, sorry, the general category is just like kind of cheap, lowbrow movies that don't really like, you kind of wonder, how did this movie get funded and how did they spend millions of dollars, because who the fuck is watching this movie? But it's like the creme de la creme of that kind of movie.
Mhm.
You know, other movies in that category, Jack Reacher, I'd say like surpassed all expectation.
These are called
But-
B movies, right? B action movies.
I guess, right?
specifically, yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to be too intellectual
Yeah,
about it.
it's a specific genre, I believe. Yeah.
But it is, in my opinion, like one of the best then B movies I've ever seen. With like A+ action, A+ plot line, and one of the things that I feel like takes one of these B movies into cult status is like the universe building
Yes.
that they're capable of doing, right? And in this movie, universe building sold everything, right? Yeah, and then I would say the one big downside about this movie is the same downside with all Keanu Reeves movies, and that is Keanu Reeves and his acting.
I disagree.
You think so?
I think his acting is perfect for this role. He's like desensitized. He's not really there's no emotional connection with anyone else other than his dead wife. Oh, okay. By the way, just a note here. There's going to be spoilers for all the movies we're discussing on this podcast. So spoiler warning ahead. Everything and anything will be spoiled for these three movies. But the only emotional connection he really has is to his puppy that he was gifted to by his dead wife. And that puppy dies. So I don't know. I think he does exactly what's needed him acting wise and emotionally for this role. I mean, this is not saying Keanu's a great actor. He's never been, I think, known as a great actor. He's a good action hero. Started with Speed, I think. And I think he does a great
even
job.
before that, there was like a Point Break and a Chemical Reaction or Chain Reaction.
Okay.
Yeah, but I completely agree.
Yeah.
He is good at exactly this kind of movie, but he's not like your Brad Pitt, right? He's not gonna like kind of shed his identity and could be a completely different person. You're just like, oh wow, you know,
Right.
I
But
didn't know
that makes him
that.
smart to me, because he is a pretty
True.
bad actor overall. And he somehow finds all these, like Neo, he was perfect for Neo, he's perfect for the Matrix. He finds roles that he utilizes his very limited ability very well.
Agreed.
Yeah, agree. I mean, it's kind of like you've heard the stories of Will Smith when he first started acting in movies. He specifically went after movies with a lot of CG and sci-fi aspects because he knew that was going to be the next big thing. It's kind of like Keanu knows what his bread and butter is. He goes after it. and he
Yeah.
kills it. And I think this movie is a prime example. I mean, this is a description for the movie, and tell me if Keanu doesn't fit this role perfectly. An ex-hitman comes out of retirement to track down the gangsters that took everything from him. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Wait, not just some things?
No,
Just
everything, Sonny. Everything.
Literally everything?
Yeah, literally everything.
all the things, everything. Yeah, I actually really like the movie too. And I kind of agree with Sonny. It just I like the universe that it builds. You know, I love the coin. I haven't seen the second one, but I hope they explore that more. Like, you know, those coins. I want to know what the coins are worth and how they get them. There seems to be that whole like culture and whole world, you know, underneath with the assassins at the Continental Hotel and
Right.
stuff. That was really cool. And I also really like the colors in the movie, which is kind of a weird thing to say.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but
What a great
it's
job
awesome.
of
Like
it.
it just looks so cool. Yeah, the dark and the blue, and then you know suddenly you're in that club and it's you know bright red and crazy you know flashes of light. Yeah, I just love the way that they use like the colors in the movie.
I agree.
And dude, and plus you know there's really not a whole lot to get attached to. You know, you're kind of right. Like he kills a dog, but man, that puppy is the cutest damn puppy ever.
Agreed.
And like I hate all those. I want John Wick to kill everybody because of that dog. And somehow, like, you know, they can get you in this movie. Like, yeah, puppies are amazing. So everyone loves puppies. So a puppy dies, yeah, fuck whoever did it. You know, you deserve to die. And I love that.
Jason,
it's like
you
simple
mentioned-
but perfect.
You mentioned the colors, and to me, one of the scenes that stands out and still stands out to this day, I think it's probably one of the best moments in the movie, is the nightclub scene when Keanu goes into the nightclub after Alfie Allen's character, and the way that they go into the sauna, then down to the dance floor. It's just the color change. It's just so amazing to just watch. I think it's a standard of action scenes out there. I mean, I compare it to a lot of movies I see nowadays. I mean, one of the things we'll talk about later is Accountant, and I don't know, we can get into that when we review The Accountant, but none of the action scenes and the set pieces really hold a candle to anything that you see in John Wick.
I'd say we can. Well, I'll save it for later then when we get to Accountant. But the music in that scene just really amped up the pace.
Agreed.
Right, and that scene in general has to be like one of the top choreographed action scenes I think I've seen in a very long time. Like, next in mind is the first Raid, or even the end scene of the second Raid Redemption. You know, or in the
Both
series.
Great movies. We should definitely review those two as well at some point. But
Definitely.
Yeah.
speaking of choreography, the director of this movie is named Chad Stahelski, who was he's mainly known as a stunt director or stunt double. He was Keanu's stunt double in The Matrix. So he directed this entire movie. Keanu has, I mean, obviously a history with this guy, but it's surprising to see that it's so well directed from a guy who's just known for doing stunts. So
And
yeah,
did
but I mean-
John Wick 2 and Atomic Blonde.
right, but before
one
this,
of the
nothing
directors.
really. But amazing cast as well: Keanu Reeves, Michael Ninquist, Alfie Allen, who I think did a great job of his role as Reek once he found out who John Wick was.
Total Theon.
Total Theon.
Actually, he had more guts than Theon, man. He was like, I'm not afraid. It was only until the very, very end where he was the last guy that he really like gave in and became a bitch. But yeah,
It's just cool because no matter how much protection Alfie Allen had, you knew that John Wick was gonna get him. You know.
yeah.
How
And,
is he
you know,
gonna
it's
do
funny
it? Let's
because
see
that
how.
would be cheesy in every other movie. You know, that'd be cheesy if it was like, well, the one guy that was so great, but for some reason, this movie, you know, he's the guy that you call to kill the boogeyman or whatever the quote was. You know, like that would be so cheesy in any movie, but somehow because it's like I think because of the style and everything that whole culture, it just worked, and because it's Keanu Reeves. Like I don't think anyone else could. You know, that was definitely Keanu's movie.
How long did
No,
it
they
take you
definitely-
both to buy into this movie? Like, did it take y'all like halfway through, or did you guys were y'all glued to it as soon as you sat down? I mean, that first scene when, when his dog gets killed, you know something's going wrong.
Yeah, that was it for me.
No, I think I was like, I felt sad at that moment, obviously, because only a psychopath wouldn't when
Agreed.
that dog dies.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think I was sold for the movie when John Leguizamo, who I just love in general, tells Alfie Allen, do you know who you just fucked with? Like, do you know whose car that is?
Yeah.
Because that is the beginning of the legend building that they do. And then it pretty much ends right when the Michael Nyqvist, how do you pronounce his name? Is that it?
Yeah, Nyquist.
Nyquist? Okay.
Yeah.
He consults with his son and then tells him the story of John Wick while in the movie intercuts with John Wick, like literally taking a sledgehammer to the life that he had locked away under
So good.
6 inches of concrete to say, no, I'm bringing this back. Like, that's how you build a story. Like, that's how you build up hype for a character without like inundating them with details said vocally or a shitload of flashbacks and stuff, right?
Yeah. Agree.
Well, whenever that mob boss told you just said his actor's name. Now I'm forgetting his name. Told the guy, told the guy that he punched Yosef, and the dad's like, well, why'd you do that? And he's like, well, he stole John Wick's car, and he's like, okay, and he just hangs up the phone.
Yeah, single word.
Man.
And then hangs up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that was so awesome. Yeah,
I highly recommend you all watch the second movie, Jason Part. Mainly because they continue the world building and they dive right in, and it is awesome, man. This universe, something I can really get into. I hope they make a ton of sequels for this movie and they keep the ball rolling on this. I really want to see more assassins, how the money gets traded around in this world, more of their rules and stuff like that, and that gets cleared up a lot in the second movie. So you guys should definitely check it out.
It's weird. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a higher rating than the first one.
What, really?
Does it?
Like,
what are they?
Better, right? 85 and 89%.
85 for the first John Wick?
The first one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The second one is really fucking good, though.
Have you seen it, Sonny?
Yeah. So you definitely need to get on it, and maybe we should even review it in our next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to do this first before I watched it.
Down. Yeah, we should definitely do that one next.
Yeah, but stuff I didn't like necessarily about the movie, or thought it was kind of cheesy, because I think every action movie kind of has its cheesy moments, and when you have a movie with one guy who can just take everybody out, there's definitely like cheesy stuff. And one of the things was like, I liked how he, held the gun kind of almost like realistically, and I say that with no experience of carrying a gun around trying to kill people, but I don't know, he kept it like really close to his arms and stuff, and he was just so good. He was like killing everybody single shot. Until he had to kill Yosef, and he had like 6 or 7 shots. It was even through a window, but he's fucking John Wick, and he's got like 5 chances. You'd think he'd nail him, and it's just like it always is like convenient. Like, okay, he had to get away, or even like the fight at the end with the boss. He's an old dude in the rain, like fist fighting. Like, dude, John Wick could just, he should wreck him, one shot, punch to the face, it's over. So that kind of stuff, like. I mean, it minorly annoys me, but every time I watch that movie, I'm just like, how has he missed? How is this even putting up a fight right now?
Definitely not a perfect movie,
human,
but you're right.
He's not a god, right? I mean,
yeah, but he's a god when it comes to every nameless henchman. But certainly,
scrubs.
He's human when the main character needs to die. Yeah.
No, you're totally right. I will say upon the second rewatch. Looking at it again in the Red Circle, which is the name of that sauna bar, there did seem to be a lot of civilians in the way.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, perhaps like I was getting too into it, but I was wondering, how is there a universe where this guy, who's virtually like almost universally known to be an assassin among that community, obviously, among the general kind of crime community, and even the officer that comes to his door says, hey, we got some noise complaints, peeks in, sees a dead body, and then says, okay, well, I'll just let you do your thing. In what universe can a person like that actually exist? And my reasoning was just, this is a guy who is so simple, so principled, and so like unbent with regards to the rules that people just know that they can trust him to do the thing that John Wick does, which is just kill bad guys whenever he feels like it. So yeah, and the cops probably like, yeah, well, they're in your house and they probably deserved it, so I'm not going to ask any questions.
Yeah, he's probably killing bad people too, so they don't give it. But that's kind of a thing too, right? They always know there's always a cop that's in on it. You know, even with like mob movies and stuff, there's always a cop that, you know, that covers the basis of, well, no, he'd go to jail for this. Like, no, it's okay. He knows that cop guy.
Well,
so
guys,
fine.
this
You know,
exists in a
he won't go to
universe
jail.
where there's an underground group of assassins that go to a hotel to hang out. I mean, this is like the universe you have to buy into, right? I mean, it's not like,
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I know.
right. But
I mean, it's a little
average-
nitpicky, but still.
Yeah.
No, but when I watch movies like this in general, or anyone that kind of just tries to, you know, build a world, I try to rationalize, like, all right, you know, what would it take for a world like this to exist? Like,
Agreed, yeah.
could it actually exist? And I don't know. This world, more than others you see in movies, probably could exist.
Right,
Yeah.
You don't know that there's
Yeah.
no Continental Hotel.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, the cop to me seemed more like he knew John, and it's not the first time he's seen a body in John's house kind of situation.
Probably.
Yeah.
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 So it's
Or he
the
may
same
have been
type
an
of history.
assassin himself or something.
Maybe.
Got out of the game.
And then it became a B cop.
Got out of the game.
He retired.
Felt bad for all the people he killed.
Sonny, did you have any nitpicks with this movie?
I mean, yeah, some of those points. But then I just chalk it up to world building. Like there's some things that you have to do, just to make a universe that is believable, that doesn't like require too much on the audience to rationalize as being legitimate. I would say the complaints I did have, Jason already echoed, but like in a for a particular reason. Like I feel like Hollywood has lost any sense of true ingenuity when it comes to like different plot elements or maybe
Right, like
even
having-
to a certain
having
degree cinematography.
Yeah, Funeral in the Rain, you know, just like every other movie.
Yeah. So okay, here's a good example that you didn't
Right.
mention, Jason. You know, so Nyquist is in the Suburban or whatever, about to push the car that John Wick is in, that Dodge, off of a little cliff at the the docks.
Yeah.
He climbs out of the back window, and in between him leaping from the trunk of the car to him hitting the concrete, there's massive downpour. All of a sudden, the rain is not only it just started trickling in. I'm talking within the span of 3 seconds, bam, rain everywhere, and now they're all drenched in rain. And he's all like, I'm gonna fight you now or whatever. In a total dramatic fashion, right? So like little things like that, I just kind of wish we could get past. But
I love those parts.
those little hype
That much
moments.
more epic. You're just
Yeah.
like, so pumped. Yeah, let's go, John. So this movie came out in 2014. I don't think it's a height. We're still living it now, but as you know, we live in America. Gun violence is a real thing. So one of the main critiques of this movie is how this fetishizes violence and guns. And
Oh, it
I
totally
don't
does.
know where you guys stand with that. I mean, this is headshot central, and I've seen
I had a hard on for an hour and a half watching this movie. That's how much it fetishizes.
typical American over there, Sonny. So yeah, I mean, do you guys obviously? I mean, I didn't really have a problem with it. Didn't consider that. Think about it when I was watching it. I mean, guns are a problem, but this
It's
is
a movie, man.
Yeah, it's a movie.
It's a movie. I don't know why people. It's a movie.
I mean,
Video
people do this
games
to
are video
everything.
games. Movies are movies. Yeah.
I think the main argument here is it could enable someone to go kill people because they think it looks cool based on a movie. But I mean,
I know. I think it would enable people to grab guns and kill people because it's like a training manual for how to
Right.
do all sorts of badass shit.
God, yeah, he was
How to grab people's arms and then like shoot them in the stomach so that they hunch over, and then while they're hunched over or hunching, you pop them in the head, right?
Yeah.
It's like way more
Dude,
efficient than just aiming for their head the first time. It's
So many headshots in that
So
movie.
many.
So
There's
many
a graphic
headshots. It's
online
incredible.
about the
No
number of
look easy
headshots.
I gotta know. I mean, and that one scene where he shoots that guy and then he's backed up against the column and he's about to shoot him in the head. He's out of bullets and he like changes magazines.
changes it while the guy is like
reloads.
dying.
Okay,
Yeah, and he's like punched over.
here's a breakdown of each scene and the number of deaths tallied on the way. So in the first scene inside John's house, there are
Oh, that was so good.
19 shots or 19 hits. He misses one. His shot accuracy 95%, 11 headshots, 13 killed. In the red circle, There's 52 hits, 13 misses, 83% accuracy, 23 headshot, 28 killed. The Church, 28 hits, 5 misses, 12 cover fire, 84% shot accuracy, 7 headshots, 16 killed. The
Jesus.
Compound, 7 hits, 0 misses, 100% accuracy, 6 headshots, 10 killed. The Dock, 16 hits, 0 misses, 100% shot accuracy, 2 headshots, 10 killed. Totally, his total accuracy is 86.52, which is a Rotten Tomato score. And he kills 77 people, and 49 were headshots. So,
Oh my
pretty
God.
efficient.
Yeah, but that dog was so cute, though. I mean, that dog was so cute.
Yeah, they had
Just
it coming.
justifies all
Totally.
that. Yeah, yeah. Seriously, fuck those. Yeah, I wish it was more. I wish it was 175 or whatever.
Yeah, Jason, definitely watch the second movie. They really
Dude, also, real
double
quick,
down on everything.
I always forget Willem Dafoe is in that movie too.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
I always forget that he plays like such a small role. It's so good.
He's also
But yeah,
a
yeah,
badass
definitely.
too in the movie.
I also enjoyed how there's two actors from The Wire. The one who plays Lieutenant Daniels and the
Right.
other who plays Lester Freeman. So that's always
Yeah,
nice.
that's right. Yeah, poor Lester Freeman got killed in the hotel, right?
Bow-legged motherfucker.
Hey guys, do you have any more thoughts, so we can wrap this John Wick review up?
Nah, I think we should move on to a movie that I think we universally disliked.
And that is The Accountant. The movie came out in 2016. This is a movie described as a math savant uncooks the books for a new client. The Treasury Department closes in on his activities, and the body count starts to rise.
Oh my god.
It's directed by Gavin O'Connor, who directed Warrior. That's about it.
Which one was Warrior?
Warrior's a UFC movie with Hardy and blanking on the
Joel Edgerton?
Edgerton, correct. The movie stars Ben Affleck and Anna Kendrick, J.K. Simmons, and John Bernthal.
You're different. Sooner or later, different scares people. You think if you don't fight back, then maybe they'll like you. Stop picking on you, calling you a freak. Victim or not, make a decision.
Your son is a remarkable young man. It wouldn't surprise me if he has more in common with Einstein, Mozart, and Picasso than he does with us. He has highly advanced cognitive skills. The obsessive personality.
Ben Affleck. John Bernthal. Yeah, okay. So and you've seen it, Jason?
I have not.
You have not.
I
Okay.
have not seen it.
So
So I'm excited to hear what you have to say about it.
oh man.
Sonny, let me
'Cause
just
it
go ahead
sounds
and wrap
pretty
this
great.
up real quick.
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah,
I
you start.
have no advanced analysis on this movie. It's a B-action movie where I enjoyed 3 major scenes. I'm not sure if I would really rewatch this movie. I only rewatched it for this podcast, and I'm not sure if I'd recommend Jason to watch it. If you're playing and you're bored, maybe watch this movie, but I wouldn't pay to watch this movie. I wouldn't use bandwidth to download this movie. I would just kind of avoid this movie. To me, Ben Affleck is miscast. He can play an assassin hitman that has a personality, but he can't play an assassin or a hitman that's supposed to be kind of quirky, stoic, quiet, kind of weird,
Autistic.
autistic. Yeah, PC.
Well, no, he's definitely not skilled enough to play an autist.
Yeah,
Right, right, exactly.
This is the
skilled
biggest
enough for
difference
everything
between
else.
John Wick and The Accountant. This movie, the main actor is so woefully miscast. I sat and thought about it for a couple minutes on who would be a better casting decision for this, but nothing really came to my mind. But
It's
like I
just a bad
mentioned,
role. There's really like nobody for it. It's just a terrible character.
No, just Ben Affleck can't play it as well. You can tell he's trying really hard because he's a charismatic kind of guy. You know what I mean? I don't know if he got thrown into his role because they saw that him playing Batman would be a good sell, and doing another action movie or something. I don't know. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to put my mind inside the head of the casting director.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking the casting director was thinking, Batman's kind of autistic, right? He's got some kind of mental disorder of some kind. So maybe Ben Affleck would be good for this one too.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a slightly different position where you should understand. So I spend a lot of time just working on my computer on random things, and I like cheap noise to drown it out. So like a lot of times I'll just listen to podcasts that I'm not actually that interested in. And a lot of other times I'll watch movies, and in particular B movies, right? The ones that don't require a lot of investment, but there's just enough things going on in the background where you're just like, you can tune in every once in a while and be like, oh man, that was fucking dumb, and then tune back out, right? So I would recommend that if those kinds of movies appeal to you, or if you need to occupy extra brain capacity by listening to some of that stuff in the background, this is a good candidate for that movie.
It's a very good description. Like if you're washing the dishes, cleaning up around the house, I do the same thing. I put on like very bad movies that I kind of want to check out, and I'll throw it on the background and do chores, or I like do laundry, fold my clothes, whatever. Yeah,
you'll get the gist of it.
Correct.
I will say that maybe it's on the 50% mark of quality. It's maybe on the better half, but like
Agreed.
barely. Yeah. But
the action scenes are fun. The first one on the farm when he single-handedly takes out those two guys, headshot
that like 50 caliber rifle, and
then he kills other guy with his belt. He's like fighting a guy with a knife, and he's got a belt. He chokes him out. The scene where he rescues Anna Kendrick's character is pretty badass, and the final action scene was good too. I mean, again, this is all just Ben Affleck shooting a lot of guns, not necessarily all headshots, but still, it's fun action scenes and done okay, done well. I mean,
to a certain degree, like what the Bourne movies were to stunt and action choreography, in comparison to movies that came before it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, John Wick 2, are also kind of like lifting up that level. Leveling up stunt choreography.
Was as good as John Wick to you?
Not as good.
Okay.
But I'm feeling like there's less shaky cam and more literally high-paced, high physical involvement action going on. It's not just... So, like, you can imagine in the Bourne movies, if they did a lot of punching, but it was like slow or like too orchestrated, then you can give it more dynamism by like shaking the camera, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of the action that we're seeing now with these two John Wicks, with Accountant, with The Raid, is that the actual choreography is like way more orchestrated, way more involved, and way more fast paced, and thus you don't have to shake the camera as much, and you can still appreciate like this, in my opinion, higher level of like physical combat in film. And so it's a good example of that. It's not, I don't think it comes close to John Wick or The Raid and stuff, but it's in that general direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I honestly don't know what else to say about this movie. On the second rewatch, the only thing I got that I didn't get from the first watch is that his assistant on the phone with the robotic voice ended up being that other autistic girl that he met when he was younger. I completely missed that the first point.
Really?
Yeah, I think I tuned out the end or something, and I finally got it this time. It's like, oh, that's cool. All right, Jason,
were we gonna ask Jason?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. What was Anna Kendrick like in this movie? Because she doesn't really strike me as someone who would be in a action type of movie. She's like singing all the time.
Yeah, I would say she plays a really good Anna Kendrick in this movie.
Agreed. I mean, she's just being herself. I mean, just Anna.
How does that fit with the movie, though? Is it like a serious movie, or is it like a lighter tone to it, or what's?
No, it's serious.
It's serious. I mean,
but she's like a virtually inconsequential character. Yeah. He's like, she plays the the love interest without there actually developing any love story, probably because it would seem kind of rapey, or like that she would be taking advantage of an autistic guy. so she's there enough to dangle like, oh, will they
Probably
but they
won't.
don't.
Yeah.
But it would be weird if they did. So that's what happens.
Sounds like a terrible movie. It sounds like a movie. From what it sounds like for you guys, if you like bad movies or you're not in the mood to watch a movie, you should watch this movie.
Yeah.
That's pretty horrible.
You hit the nail on the head.
That's exactly what we're saying.
Anna Kendrick, like you were saying earlier, Jason, she literally just plays every role that she does in all the other movies. Like, have you seen Up in the Air? She's the exact same thing in this role as well. She's like an accountant, and she's unassuming accountant who doesn't know what's going on in the company that she works for and is the pawn piece or whatever, and then ends up getting, in the middle of stuff that she shouldn't. And then Ben Affleck has to save
she's
her
a
life.
relatable person in the group.
I guess I don't even know.
Yeah,
And then there's a whole subplot with Ben Affleck's dad and how his mother left them when they were young, didn't raise them because she couldn't handle his autism, and kind of shows you how he got all this military training and et cetera, et cetera.
Will there be a sequel?
Good question.
You know what? Actually, I was gonna laugh and just say hell no, but they did like amp up, or like, sorry, tease the old guard being replaced by the new guard person. So, like, you don't care if we spoil it, right?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So, what we learn at the end of the movie, we get two big twists. One, J. Jonah Jameson has been working at the Treasury Department, and he's been getting all of his big breaks because of tips coming from the autistic chick that met Ben Affleck as a child and has been helping him on some like massive 12 core, like 4 GPU gaming rig or something.
They hype it up. They say it's like some computer Pentagon. It can hack into the Pentagon with this computer.
Because it's got 12 cores, right?
Yeah,
everybody knows you can't hack into the Pentagon unless you have at least 8 cores in your PC, right? So we learned that, So we learned that he uses his autistic moral code to decide who to kill and who to, I guess, help launder money for, and then eventually kill if if they break his moral code. So in the process of him learning these things about these criminals that he launders money for, he gives tips to the FBI or Treasury Department person. And what we learn is that there's a new young shit Treasury Department agent who's rising in the ranks, and he's pretty much handing off this thing to her, saying, you're going to get a call from a robotic British woman voice giving you tips, just roll with it. Then the other twist is like a full 100% Gattaca twist, where the guy that has been griefing Ben Affleck the whole movie turns out to be his long lost brother that they haven't seen each other in like a decade.
And the only thing you know about his brother is that he's been through the same rigorous training that Ben Affleck's been through as they were both growing up.
Yeah. And then that brings me to Joe Bernthal, which, like,
I love Joe Bernthal.
I guess I liked him in Wolf of Wall Street because he was actually like a different character.
No. I love Joe Bernthal when he's Joe Bernthal, which is in every single movie where he's Joe
Bernthal.
And
that's what I'm saying. I don't like that at all. Like, I didn't like that. I liked him in Wolf of Wall Street for his character because he just played someone genuinely different. He didn't play Joe Bernthal, but I don't think I like Joe Bernthal as an actor who plays Joe Bernthal.
His name's John Bernthal.
John, I'm just like keep changing it every time I say it, right? Yeah, whatever. I didn't care for him that much.
I just think he plays that badass. I mean, he's got it nailed down. I think he nailed it down with The Walking Dead, and he's been doing that same role with every movie except The Wolf of Wall Street, and he does it well. Yeah. Like, just a badass who's a hot shot,
But he's like, he's got emotions. He's
got emotions.
Oh man, oh no,
He's just on the edge all the time.
Yeah,
On the
exactly.
edge of like breaking down, or
He's
just
like
exploding.
Ross from Friends, but if he could kick ass and was more threatening, more physically threatening.
So, in contrast to John Wick, I felt like this world was a bit more relatable than John Wick's. Right? You can more see this in our day to day than you could see John Wick, possibly
Totally.
to a certain degree. So for a guy that moves as much as he does, man, you saw like his backyard, his setup, and he really like sets his house up. It's just like to the next level for a guy that moves around as much as he does it. That is something. I mean, I guess he's based on his character. He could do. I mean, he would do that.
So one thing they obviously didn't when writing the movie, they didn't see through to its logical conclusion is that if he's jumping around from city to city, if he says that he can hitch his Airstream to his F-150 in 12 minutes and
Right.
be on his way to a completely different identity and different city, why would he have a Gatling gun in his front porch facing his front porch?
Right.
Like the treasury goes to his house and they find his secret corridor and they literally roll out this Gatling gun that's hanging from the roof on this like rack system, and he can just turn it around through the front window at anybody who comes out and from the front of his house.
So are we to assume that
Whatever.
Ben Affleck's assistant started touching base with J.K. Simmons' character after he spared his life?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they after Ben Ass. Now I can't stop saying Ben Ass. after Ben met J.K. Simmons. It's presumed that like the autistic woman that helps him out. Now, both of them saw this as an opportunity to rat out the real bad guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I don't mind, laundering money for the Gambino family and the Manaloa cartel, but when they kill someone I know, or I guess when they, diddle children or something like that, then I'll rat you out to the Treasury Department and the FBI.
Poor Jeffrey Tambor, he went out bad. That was his Ben Affleck's mentor in them. Sorry, what was his name in that movie? Ben Affleck's character's name?
Francis.
Christian Wolf. Christian Wolf.
Christian Wolf. Yes.
Yeah, Christian Wolf. You're right. Francis was Jeffrey Tambor's name. Yep.
Right.
Man, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add, Sonny? So, I mean, you stand this as a turn this on in the background if you want kind of situation.
Nah, nothing else to say. I'm pretty sure it was a profitable movie, so they'll probably be pumping out other shit like this.
So this is like a little nest egg for Ben Affleck. Whenever he's got downtime, he'll just do the Accountant series or something.
Yeah, actually, I think about a sequel. I think I read that that this is supposed to be the spiritual sequel to Good Will Hunting.
Oh,
and that's only kind of half a joke, unfortunately, because apparently the first draft of that movie was supposed to be about a guy who was good at math that became like an NSA agent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was supposed to be autistic in that movie or not, but
so why is that Good Will Hunting? Just because he's good at math too?
Yeah. This is what Good Will Hunting would have been had Gus Van Sant not come in and been like, "Hey guys, this is actually shit. This is what you should do with this movie."
I don't want to detract too much, but another movie where I think Ben Affleck does a little bit better job is this movie called Live by Night, which came shortly after The Accountant. It's a violent movie where he plays kind of a gangster who moves down to Florida to start during the Prohibition era. I think that role fits more to Affleck's acting style than The Accountant did. But again, Sonny, if you're doing the dishes, turn this on in the background, and I would definitely watch it then.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It has a 34%.
It's not good. It's not very good. The problem is it was too long too, but I won't digress. Let's move on. And to our future review, we'll be discussing District 9.
Nobody comes back late at night anymore. They have more security.
The government noticed that they were moving into new areas. That's when things started to get out of hand.
They don't belong here.
They're spending so much money to keep them here when they could be spending it on other things. At least they're keeping them separate from us.
A lot of bad things started to happen. They must just go. I don't know where they go. They must just go.
We're at the breaking point. People are living in fear.
Came out in 2009. Directed by Neil Blomkamp. Became famous for District 9, Elysium, as you know, with Matt Damon. And then followed that up with Chappie.
Chappie.
This is produced by Peter Jackson, and it's important to note that Weta was a special effects team associated with this movie. And the main character is played by Sharlto Copley, and I think that's the first we see of him on the big screen here in America.
Yeah.
So, Jason, what do you think of this movie? Oh, before I let you go, this movie is about an extraterrestrial race forced to live in slum-like conditions on Earth suddenly finds a kindred spirit in a government agent who is exposed to their biotechnology. Go away.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I love this movie personally. I mean, I like any movie with aliens in it, but I just love that this was like such a different alien movie. And this wasn't, aliens come and attack us, and now we're doing whatever we can, like hopelessly trying to fight back or whatever it may be, or these huge empowering aliens or aliens that are way too smart for us or whatever it may be. I like that it was these aliens came for refuge, landed, and when we made first contact, they were sickly, and it kind of felt like a really realistic approach on if that crazy event were to happen, if somehow aliens did come and they were, sick on the brink of death. We might just take advantage of them and throw them into a certain area of town and exclude them from everyone else and segregate them from everybody else. And I thought that they went a little overboard with like how much people hate aliens, because I feel like that probably wouldn't really be the case. But yeah, I just love that it was like a completely different take, and also you get introduced to it like it's a documentary about the aliens making contact, and then you see that it's not, so then you think it's just gonna be a documentary on how life is like with these aliens, and then it turns into this documentary about Ficus Fundamenta and his sickness and how he's like growing it that arm, just what's gonna happen to him and how he's gonna get out of it. And I just love that it makes that shift, kind of surprises you. Yeah, I love the movie. I mean, I think there's definitely like cheesy and corny parts to it, but yeah, I think it's a cool action movie. I love the South African accent, so I just love hearing that for a whole movie. And I love the aliens, and like you can weirdly sympathize with the aliens, and you really love Chris and his little boy, and yeah, you root for the aliens at the end, and it's cool to see Ficus change his perspective and change his mood. So yeah, no, I personally really like the movie.
Do you own the Blu-ray for this?
I don't know. I think I do.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I'm looking through my my shelf right now. Yeah, I think I do.
Sonny, what do you think?
I think I like the spirit. I really appreciate a lot of what I echo a lot of what Jason said about their excuse me, about it being something pretty original, pretty out there, and not really a lot like what we could have seen about an alien movie or an alien invasion, quote unquote, movie. So in that respect, I do appreciate it, but I also felt like its execution was lacking. It seemed like a high budget, low budget movie, like a low budget movie that just got a lot of money to work with. The acting, I'll say it's probably one of its biggest flaws. So there's a flaw that I didn't like, and then I think there's a flaw that applies just to the movie in general that maybe you guys can sympathize with. I didn't like how it started as a mockumentary and then turned into an action flick, right?
Thank you. That is takes me out of movies so much. But
yeah,
I'm glad
the minute he got blasted in the face with that black juice, I immediately was like, oh god. So now he's going to be dealing with this, and it's not going to be about the situation in Johannesburg, right? It's not going to be about relations between humans and aliens. It's going to be about this guy dealing with his shit,
right?
His new problem. So that's what I just didn't like about the movie in general, and I think maybe people will disagree and not have a problem with that. The thing I did take more of an issue with was that, like, because of that, a lot of the acting loses context. So if, for example, you were to see somebody kind of acting like a lunatic, but it's done in a mockumentary style, you might assume, oh, well, this person's kind of acting in a believable, rational manner because it's the way I'm viewing this information is through the lens of something realistic, something voyeuristic, right? Like I'm just like watching it, I'm observing it happening. But the minute cinematography takes a more formal stance where shots are framed, there's like a lot of focus blur, like things that are in focus have a stark contrast to the focus that are things behind it and stuff. The minute you start like actually treating what you're looking at through a more artistic sense, the acting becomes highlighted. So if they are shitty actors, they're going to look really shitty when you are filming them really nicely. But if you're going for like the Curb Your Enthusiasm office mockumentary style and they're shitty actors, you can really mask a lot of that stuff. And so in the moments where I don't have an issue too much with crappy acting, it's in those moments where the movie is a mockumentary. But the minute it starts leaving that, like, it starts just becoming like a high budget, low budget movie.
Yeah, but you only really have one character. I mean, I know there's more characters, but you're only really focusing on like when I think of all the performances in that movie, I think of just our main character Ficus. I don't think of really anybody else, and then the aliens, which I am very aware are CGI. So like that doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me as much. I mean, there's not a whole lot of acting to be had. And as far as like it being like a documentary and then not being a documentary, like that's kind of the point. Is you're being introduced and you're learning as if this was a real event, and then you're focusing on the crux of what really kicked off the event, which was him getting injured and growing an alien arm. So now you're following his story, and it's not necessarily a news report or 60 Minutes report.
I think we understand the tension, but the execution is poorly done, because when a movie starts as a particular format, you expect it to be carried away. So the thing that takes you out of most of mockumentaries is, who's the guy behind the camera? Is he going to be alive at the end of this? Who is he, right? When that character is just shoveled off to the side after an event, there's no relevance to that character. It loses complete importance. Like, I think the Blair Witch did a better job because the person behind the camera was always important, because he was someone that we are vested in surviving through the movie. When you change that lens, it is exactly what Sunny describes. I think it completely changes our attachment to the character, and it becomes a completely different story at that point.
Definitely. I'll be fully willing to admit that this movie maybe could not have been made in a full mockumentary style.
Correct.
But you do get a significantly different experience for the same given series of actions when they're filmed in this style. For example, have you guys watched Wreck?
Yes.
Or,
yeah.
That Spanish zombie horror movie. Jason, they made like an American remake called Quarantine. I don't know if it was as good, but I've seen the
original.
Remake.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a zombie movie from the single camera over the shoulder perspective the entire time. And the movie just keeps getting scarier, maybe with the exception of the final scene, which I won't dive into. But that's a movie that immerses you in the environment. It gives you real investment with the characters, despite the fact that it's not filmed like a traditional movie. And I think the minute you kind of shift the tone of the movie the way that this did, you almost like reset our relationship to the characters that we've come to know, because now this is all ignoring how much of a pussy Wickus was in the first place, and actually how shitty of a hero he is.
He's a very unlikable person. Yeah.
But even then, you almost kind of like nullify all the association we've had with this guy, who does at the beginning, when it's a mockumentary movie, it does come off as being the lead, like the main character, right? Like you have other brief tangents from other side characters kind of mentioning like, oh, we didn't think he would have done something like this, or, you know, we were worried about what he was trying to do, right? So it's very clear that the documentary kind of starts off as being about a particular person or a series of events related to that person, but the minute you change a tone like that, it stops being a mockumentary and more becomes an action movie that just happens to have some like the CNN news flair going on in the background to like tell us, the audience, what the in-movie audience should be thinking about the entire experience, which was not necessary, because if we were watching it from the perspective of the like documentarian, we would know how everybody else in the universe and obviously in our universe would perceive all those events. But yeah, it feels like wasted opportunity.
I want to get back to that point you mentioned, Sonny, a little later down the line with the CNN cameras, but I wanted to give you guys my impressions of this movie. So this movie came out in 2009. I'm not sure when I saw it, but I did see when it came out. The fact that I can't remember my viewpoints on the movie is kind of telling in itself. It didn't really leave a huge impact on me. I figured I'd be in between Jason and Sonny on how I feel about this movie. Just super meh. You know, that's how I felt. And watching it, and then I started watching the movie, and my beliefs were confirmed. I was just very meh as I started watching the movie. I mean, I've really enjoyed some of the concepts of the technology, and I don't know, the CG. I think the idea was good behind the mechs, but I didn't really like the CG that much either. The characters I really didn't like too much. Conceptually, I thought it was a cool idea. You just essentially replace the apartheid, but instead of black people, black South Africans, you have aliens. So in that sense, it's not wholly original. I mean, you're just replacing one species with another subset. And again, when I first started watching the movie, I completely forgot this was a mockumentary. And then I started doing a little bit of research and started trying to do some pieces. But when this movie came out, this is like the height of the mockumentary. I don't know if you guys remember, like when we were in high school, Borat came out in 2006, and then Paranormal Activity came out in 2007. And then through high school and throughout, I mean, we had The Office, right? And a lot of Wickus in the beginning, like 10 minutes, reminding me of like Michael in a bit. He's just so like aloof and goofy, and you know, just kind of like trying to make people laugh and relate, but people don't like it. He's like he's a kiss up. His dad is the head. I mean, he's I don't know what do you want to call it? What is his dad, like a government official or something? And
he works for that private MNU,
right?
Like, arms corporation, but he's like he's like an exec, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got
so
nepotism up the ass.
All that said, I mean, I was just kind of really meh on it. I really wish the movie could have been shorter. I mean, I think 20 minutes could have been cut out of this movie. There's a scene where I think they break in, or he breaks out. Man, I'm totally mixing it up in my head, but there's 20 minutes of the movie where they could have just completely cut out, and then the last final action set piece could have been the main set piece instead of having two separate. I guess this is what goes back to you. They just had like, oh, we got an extra like 20 million in the budget. Let's shoot some more. You know what I mean? So, I'm not sure if I hated it more than you, Sonny. I thought you would really hate this movie.
I liked it better the second time around than I did the first time, because in the first time I saw it in theaters, I was sitting there, unfortunately in one of the front rows, and I was like, oh man, this mockumentary style, like, it seems legit. I saw the short film that Neil Blomkamp did as like as a pitch for this movie, and I loved it. So I can't wait to see a full length feature version. And the minute he gets splooged in the face with that alien jizz, it all went downhill from there. At least in my mind.
Yeah.
And maybe that irrational perspective forever tainted me to the whole movie, but I think it had so much potential that got squandered.
I don't know why that's like such a thing that you guys are hung up on. You know, like I wasn't like set or like honestly, it would be annoying if it was a 2-hour mockumentary about a fake alien thing. Like it would just. I like the transition, and once you see that now Vicus is really the center point of what's about to happen, or you don't know what's really going to happen in the end, but some event is about to take place, and that's what this fake documentary that you were watching is leading up to. Now I don't really care about seeing it like a CNN 60-minute report. I want to see what happens to Vicus and what he has to do to get out of it. So I didn't really mind the transition, and it seems like it made more sense to me. It would be annoying if it was just like. Yeah, just a constant. I don't want to see a documentary, especially on a fake event. I want to see a movie, and this was a movie.
No,
the documentary portion took me so out of the movie too, man. Like the scenes where they would cut to the experts talking about the whole event. I just felt cheesy. It felt like it was trying too hard to be a documentary, and I don't know. I just couldn't buy into any of those scenes. I just like rolling.
I think it was just a way to get exposition.
Yeah, it's the only way to get exposition.
It's to give give exposition, then you can just focus on what's happening instead of just having build it out. I mean, it's just like kind of a really weird and different idea, and it would just take up way too much movie time to like, follow specific characters and wait for that exposition over, a bunch of dialogue. I kind of like that right in the beginning. Within 5 minutes, you know what's going on now, and that's it. You're into the movie. And so to me, it was just a way to expedite your understanding of the situation and what's going to happen. So now you can focus on, that asshole Vicus and what's going to happen. And you don't really like him in the beginning. And now suddenly you kind of hope he ends up okay. I mean, yeah, so I didn't mind that at all. It was a way to just give me the information I needed to know. And it made it immediately apparent to me that this isn't like any other alien movie. So if I'm going to watch an alien movie, I'm going to watch, District 9.
Didn't Arrival do the same thing, but so much better with none of that exposition? It did. It got across the same idea, same emotion, same information with half the exposition, and I think it was less heavy-handed in discussing apartheid. And in general, I mean, the story is not very original at all, right?
No, I mean, you could have.
There you go, Sonny.
Okay. I was just going to say, you could have had a commentary on apartheid by not having any of the mockumentary stuff within it, right? You could have just, he embodied everything I hate about government employees who really like their jobs and think they're doing awesome shit. Because, the moment he gets to Christopher Johnson's house, he says, this is very clearly someone smarter than the people we're usually dealing with. And then he goes to say, how you have this trash outside? Well, that's unsafe conditions for your child. So I'm going to call CPS and take your child away from you. And too bad. Don't worry about signing this eviction notice, right? I just hate that about people. And you could have still had a story where we fucking hated him, and he's still the general story was imbued with the commentary on apartheid without without having kind of teased us. It was almost like the first half an hour of the movie we're like, hey, do you remember that short film I made? Well, you're in for a treat. And then oh no, sorry, we're done with that part of the movie. This is the real part that I needed the money to make. Right?
It doesn't even after that point, it doesn't even stop committing to the mockumentary. You still see scenes where the talking heads are addressing various points of the movie. The stupidest part is when the cameras are showing where the government ships are going to go attack, and the Nigerians are sitting there watching the reporting of where they're going to attack, getting all the information. I mean, some of that stuff was so dumb. It just took me out of the movie, man. And the biggest part was the aliens were willing participants in their oppression. These guys have seemed to have advanced mechs, weaponry. Yet they're trading it
they
for
could have used any of those guns that they were trading for cat food.
Right.
Right?
It doesn't make sense. I mean, it just seems
That part I definitely agree with you there.
This race that's able to travel across to another planet to possibly save their own race is so stupid when it comes to dealing with humans. I don't understand. And if you're making a comparison of this to apartheid, you're just calling the South Africans like willing participants in their oppression, or just either too stupid to break out of the oppression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree with everything that you guys say, but I still like the movie for some reason. Like, it just, none of that bothers me for some reason. It just, it doesn't, you know. And even like little things too. And I'm watching it, like her dad, you know, his wife's dad. He's like unbelievably evil, you know. Like this guy is like such a sadistic piece of shit, and you wonder like, how is his daughter like completely oblivious to her dad being like a crazy, sadistic guy, you know? But all that stuff, yeah, definitely. I think about it every time I watch it, but for some reason, I still love the story. I like the way it was filmed. I like the way the aliens look. I like the machinery and all that, the weaponry and things like that. I love the little thing that he gets in at the end. I don't know what you would call it, but that little suit
Metal Gear.
Yeah.
It looked awesome, and I like, yeah, I want to be in that thing. It looks cool. So that kind of stuff just really outweighs all the other, like, you know, plot holes in the story, because I think it's just kind of unique on its own. So I don't really care that it upholds any standard that I care from any other movie.
Yeah. I just don't see myself really ever watching this movie again. I mean, I will praise some of the CG, the mech. The concept of the mech and the way that was done was really well. I'm not sure if the quality of the video of this movie that I watched was just piss poor, but the prawns look terrible.
Prawns?
Yeah, the prawns, they look terrible. I'm not sure if it just doesn't hold up to now. What is it? 8 years later? I don't know, man. I mean, Sonny, do you have any other nitpicks with the movie?
No, I think not aside from what I had said.
Yeah.
Oh, and then just wanted to reinforce the point that he is actually a very shitty lead character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is weak and always he chooses the wrong thing at literally every step, at every choice he has. Every choice he's presented, he makes the wrong choice, or he makes the choice that you would think that you wouldn't have made. And it's only at the very end that he actually does any sort of redemption, and even then, he doesn't seem to grow out of it. Like, he doesn't gain anything from it. He walks away when he's in the mech suit already and has the opportunity to save Chris, the prawn, the smart one. He walks away, and it says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go fly the ship, and I'll come back for you." Right? Like, like I know what I'm gonna fucking do when I get to the alien planet, and then know how to get back to Earth. Right? Then I guess he has the recording of them saying, "Oh yeah, we'll just fucking shoot the prawn. You know, we don't need him anymore." And then he turns around and finally picks him up. And even then, after they have like almost annihilated his suit, and he's like one-on-one, face-to-face with the ball guy that's been griefing him the whole time.
Right.
He's still like a chicken shit about it. I don't know. He's just not a character that you can really justify rooting for.
Not to mention he was able to use that mech suit with no issues and no training within just getting inside it, which is incredible. You know? I
mean, shit, he was able to get that other thing off the ground, right?
Half
flying before it got shot by rockets.
Just winging it, man.
Maybe
just good at winging it.
Being just too hard on the movie, but to me, it seems like the flaws really outweigh the positives of this movie. But that's just my opinion.
Well, my only fear with that sentiment is that, you know, if we were important enough to have people listen to us and make decisions based on what we were saying, that they might think that, like, oh, movies like this shouldn't be made. And that's totally not the point I want to get across.
No, that's not.
We definitely, this movie, when it came out, it was like the most original thing I had seen in a long time. And I really wish we got to see more movies like this, and as original and as daring, even though I don't think it executed as well as it could have.
I'm trying to think of a good comparison of something that's come out. I mean, I guess our rival.
It was definitely better than Chappie.
I mean,
you gotta say that.
Yeah. His
Chappie was awful.
filmography has only gone down since District 9. I think Elysium was a big disaster. Chappie was
Yeah.
God,
terrible.
Elysium sucked.
Yeah, it was really bad. Anyways, I mean, he's become. I mean, his studio, I think, has become the what do they call that? I don't forget the name, but they've funded a lot of these smaller movies which have made big bucks. Like, I know Split was funded by Blomkamp's production company as well. So.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just saw one with like I think it had Dakota Fanning in it.
There's another, yeah.
It took place like in the Arctic. Neil Blomkamp, Zygote. Okay, and Zygote is made by Oats Studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I would recommend actually this. This particular movie called the short film called Zygote was like it was interesting.
It's on YouTube.
It's strange. Yeah, but Oats Studios recommend going to go watch some of their short films.
Yeah,
so I think like
experimental thing that he's doing a lot on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, and I think they're just all kind of different sci-fi / horror films with maybe different monsters and stuff. But what's great is that the CGI is still really good, but it's not the centerpiece of these short films. At least the one that I saw seemed to be incredibly dialogue and universe setting driven, as opposed to just kind of showing you the monster and having it follow you around, or follow the protagonist around hunting them and stuff.
I got you.
Yeah.
So Blumhouse Productions is the name of this production company, and they've been funding movies such as you've heard of them: Sinister, Paranormal Activity, The Purge. Basically, all these very low budget movies that seem to make a lot in the box office. So his production company has had success with those type of movies, but as a director, he hasn't had, I don't think, as much success.
As an individual director.
Right. So here's a little tidbit for you guys. So the nickname prawn is not simply a reference to the edible sea creatures, but also to the Parktown prawn, a species of cricket that invaded Johannesburg about 20 to 30 years ago, much to the horror of northern suburban housewives. The aliens in the film are much the same color as the Parktown prawn, so the resemblance is more than coincidental. They also jump and exude black liquid like Parktown prawns. This is perhaps the Parktown prawn that attracted Hadidus, a bird species that has become urbanized since about 1990. Which were formerly almost exclusively rural, but are now found in towns in large numbers and probably help control the Parktown prawns. So that's another little tie-in that they had to the movie that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I weirdly don't like that. For some reason, that's just weird to me. Yeah, I don't like that.
All right, so I guess Jason here is a recommend on District 9.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend people to watch this as well. I mean, I wouldn't say don't watch this. This is not The Count. I think this is worth you coming to your own conclusion about. I think it has its merits to where I don't think it's a skip. I think it's definitely, if you had like sci-fi, watch this movie.
Yeah. If you like sci-fi, that this should definitely be added to your list.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the more unique sci-fi movies you'll ever see. So yeah, I can agree with that.
Awesome. All right, if you guys have no thoughts, let's wrap this up. You can catch us on our YouTube channel, No Cams Podcast.
I'm
sorry. Yeah, that's right. We will be coming out with our Game of Thrones episode 5 recap this Monday, or well, maybe it's in the past whenever this podcast comes out, but check out for that. And my name is Akash.
I'm Sonny G.
Jason.
And we are checking out. Catch y'all next week.
Sick.